Hi, hey. Yeah, of course. Of course. You know that you're welcome to come around anytime you feel the least bit down, or even when you feel good. Yeah, no, of course. I'm really glad that you're here. Do you want to talk about it? Okay. No, we don't have to talk about it. Sometimes it's good just to be distracted. Yeah. Well, yeah, so I thought about what might be a good distraction, and I realized that I had bought a lot of new books lately, and I know how much you like to read and to get immersed in stories, so I've put together some suggestions for you. You can borrow any of these books. You can borrow all of them if you want. Yeah, I really think that, getting immersed in a story is one of the best ways to just kind of, get you through, like ride through the wave of a tough time, particularly when, there isn't really much that you can do about it. Yeah. Well, yeah, I'll just show you, I guess. So, the first one I thought of was Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. Yeah, it won the Man Booker Prize. Yeah. Yeah, that was the one, his short story collection. Yeah, 10th of December. Yeah, so I really liked that. You can borrow that if you want as well. Cool. Well, it's about Lincoln. I haven't read it yet though, so I'm just going to read you the blurb. February 1862. The American Civil War rages while President Lincoln's beloved 11-year-old son lies gravely ill. Days later, Willie dies and is laid to rest in a Georgetown cemetery. Newspapers report that a grief-stricken Lincoln returns to the crypt several times alone to hold his boy's body. From this seed of historical truth, George Saunders spins an unforgettable story of familial love and loss that breaks free of realism, entering a supernatural domain, both hilarious and terrifying. Yeah, maybe strong themes of love and loss isn't what you want right now. But it did also say that it was hilarious. Okay, we'll put that on the maybe pile. This one I have been reading, but I'm happy to lend it to you if you want it. This one is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. Yeah, it's much bigger. And look, the text is completely tiny. Yeah, so it's really long, which maybe will be good because it means you can really get immersed into it. I can't tell you exactly what happens in it yet because I'm only that far through. but it's about four friends living in New York, and I think it kind of is going to span their whole lives. Four guys, and one of them is different than the others. He's sort of special. He has a very mysterious, presumably very traumatized past that he never talks about. I like this picture of a New York fire escape, which is relevant. So the blurb is, when four classmates from a small Massachusetts college moved to New York to make their way, they're broke, adrift, and buoyed only by their friendship and ambition. There is kind, handsome Willem, an aspiring actor, J.B., a quick-witted, sometimes cruel painter pursuing fame in the art world, Malcolm, a frustrated architect at a prominent firm, and withdrawn, brilliant, enigmatic Jude, who serves as their center of gravity. So Jude is the one that I was talking about. Over the decades, their relationships deepen and darken, tinged by addiction, success, and pride. Yet their greatest challenge, each comes to realize, is Jude himself. By midlife, a terrifyingly talented lawyer, yet an increasingly broken man, his mind and body scarred by an unspeakable childhood, and haunted by a degree of trauma that he fears he will never be able to overcome, but that will define his life forever. And then, in a novel of extraordinary intelligence and heart, Yanagihara has fashioned a masterful depiction of heartbreak and a dark and haunting examination of the tyranny of experience and memory. Yeah. Well, one of the main things people who have read this book tell me is that they cried a lot and that they couldn't stop crying, or that they cried multiple times, and that this book just utterly destroyed them. So I guess it's up to you if you want something that's almost guaranteed to be upsetting, but on the other hand, sometimes reading these sorts of stories can give you some perspective and make you feel like your life is pretty good. Maybe pile? Okay. I think maybe you'll be more into these other ones. So this is the His Dark Materials trilogy by Pullman. you are correct. I have read it, but this is brand new. I bought this because I realized that I don't actually have all 3 books. Yeah, I have just the first one. I don't know where I put the other 2. Maybe I borrowed them when I first read this, so I thought I should get the whole thing. So you don't know the plot. It's hard to describe, so let's just read the blurb. Northern Lights, that's the first book, introduces Lyra, an orphan who lives in a parallel universe in which science, theology, and magic are entwined. Lyra's search for a kidnapped friend uncovers a sinister plot involving stolen children and turns into a quest to understand a mysterious phenomenon called dust. In The Subtle Knife, which is the second book, she is joined on her journey by Will, a boy who possesses a knife that can cut windows between worlds. As Lyra learns the truth about her parents and her prophesied destiny, the 2 young people are caught up in a war against celestial powers that ranges across many worlds and leads to a thrilling conclusion in the amber spyglass. I won't tell you too much. It is definitely thrilling. It's very magical and it's serious and effective and emotional. Okay. So this is The Book of Dust, also by Philip Pullman, and I think set in the same world as his Dark Materials. So maybe read that first. This says it's volume 1 of La Belle Sauvage, so I guess it's a trilogy with 2 books yet to come, and I don't know much about it, so this is what the blurb says. Malcolm was the landlord's son and only child. He had friends enough, but he was happiest on his own, playing with his demon Asta in their canoe, which was called La Belle Sauvage. You won't know the significance of demon until you read his Dark Materials. Malcolm Polstead's life in the pub beside the Thames is safe and happy enough, if uneventful. But during a winter of unceasing rain, the forces of science, religion, and politics begin to clash, and as the weather rises to a pitch of ferocity, all of Malcolm's certainties are torn asunder. Finding himself linked to a baby by the name of Lyra, Malcolm is forced to undertake the challenge of his life and to make a dangerous journey that will change him and Lyra forever. So maybe you could read this first, because it's kind of set just before his Dark Materials. But I still think you should read his Dark Materials first. It's such a beautiful cover. The blue and green and the kind of line etching sort of drawing. So did you want to borrow any of those to get really immersed in a world? Yeah, I totally agree. I think his Dark Materials would be the best one, make you feel the best. But you can always come back and borrow something else. And yeah, you should definitely move on to the Book of Dust. Yeah, after you've read that. Yeah, of course. Anytime. No, you don't have to go home. We could, make a cup of tea and maybe watch something on Netflix, watch a movie. Is there something that you haven't seen that you want to see? No, I haven't seen that either, would you believe? Yeah, this is the perfect time. Alright, well, let's go and rustle up something to eat and drink and settle in.